Hello, my name is Ashvan Doyan. I'm the Student Affairs Office and I work with our international students. As you know, for work authorization, there are two programs that you can participate in. The first is called CPT and the second is called OPT. OPT is very complicated and I've got a series of videos about how OPT works at Smith College. This video concentrates on CPT, which is Curricular Practical Training. Curricular Practical Training and OPT vary in a lot of different ways. But a few of them are: CPT has no cost associated with it. There is no application fee. CPT is approved on campus, which means that there isn't the same sort of time lag as there can be with OPT. And CPT comes with a number of restrictions. So, who qualifies for CPT? If you are currently a sophomore or a junior, that is to say that the summer will be between your sophomore and junior year, or between your junior and senior year, you qualify for CPT at Smith. Now, that means you qualify for the program. It does not mean that you will be able to do it. There are a couple of reasons why you couldn't, and the primary one is that the central aspect of CPT is curricular. What you are doing is you are doing curricular academic work based on your major in your department. So, if you're an economics major, you may be working for a bank. If you're a biology major, you may be working for a lab somewhere. And the work can vary. It has to be something that's related to your major. But it's not enough just to do that work. You also have to have curricular work recommended by a faculty member who is giving you credit in your department for that work. This means that you're going to need to be taking a special studies course under the guidance of a professor in the fall immediately following your internship. So there's a form that you'll need to fill out, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But that's a central requirement, and this means that there are some departments that you will not be able to do CPT in, either because you're unable to find a faculty member or because the department has an internal policy that they do not give special studies credit for a paid internship. And there are departments on campus that have that rule. So in those cases, if you wanted to work over the summer, you might need to do OPT instead. And that is one of the reasons why you can need to do OPT rather than CPT. I know one of the questions people always ask us is, why won't my professor help me out? And departments have their own internal policies, and they don't always work well with federal policies or with our office policies. We do our best to work with departments. One of the best examples of that is the economics department, which has a rotating faculty member who oversees the CPT special studies for that department. But not every department does that. In fact, in pretty much every other department, it's the individual relationship between a faculty member and a student. So it's important to have good relationships with your faculty members, but they also have to be willing to approve the special studies. Even in departments where it's allowed, a professor isn't always willing to do that. And they can have perfectly valid reasons for that, and they do have a right to say no. So you might be in one of the life sciences, and a number of the life sciences actually have a policy that they will not give a CPT simply because they have a policy in their department that they don't give credit for paid internships. And they're allowed to have that policy. We can't tell them that they can't have that policy. You may have a faculty member who you look up to and you have a job and they're in your department and you go to them with this wonderful internship opportunity that is completely outside their area, and they're supposed to be supervising academic work related to that internship, and that's really hard if you're an art major and your professor who teaches you about painting and your internship is in sculpture because they don't have the necessary expertise to really supervise a CPT on sculpture if their specialty is painting. So you really want to look at professors whose interests and academic work is in the area of what your internship is in. Okay? We rely entirely on the faculty member recommendation. The faculty member recommends the CPT. We rely on that recommendation to say that you're going to do the curricular work, that it's in your field, and we approve the CPT on the basis of that faculty recommendation. Okay? So, the good things. OPT is very expensive. It costs $380, and you have to wait a long time for the card. And that is not true for CPT. CPT is approved on campus. What you need to do is you need the following. You need an offer letter. You have to have a job. We cannot approve CPT if you do not have a job. So you have to have a summer job. You have to have a faculty member recommendation. There's a form on our website at www.smith.edu/interstudents. And you can download that form and bring it to us with that offer letter. Okay, so that's really all you have to do. We'll talk a little bit about the form. So we're going to talk about filling out these forms. The first part of the form is the student application. You need to fill out the student information, your name, email, box, phone, all of that sort of information for us. It's very important that this be complete. Your employer information is also critical because we need to enter that information into SEVIS when we approve the CPT. So we need the employer's name, the employer address, what your start date and end date are going to be. We pretty much assume 40 hours for a work week, but it's helpful for us to have it also. Then you're going to enter some information about your special studies project. Course number, department, all of that sort of information. You can get it from your professor. And then at the bottom, your faculty sponsor is going to need to sign it. We need their name and some information about them. The internship description really is a description of what the internship is going to be. What are you going to actually be doing during this time? So you fill that part out, and when you're done with that, you're going to do the final part, which is the coursework. This is working with your professor to figure out what sort of coursework that you can do that he will approve that makes this work curricular. It's a paper or presentation, something that involves the coursework that you did and shows how you applied what you learned. At the bottom of this form, again, your professor and you are both going to need to sign. You both have to sign it. That's very important. Okay? So that was a little bit about the form. Just a quick recap. What you need in order to make your CPT appointment with us is an offer letter showing that you have a job over the summer, a faculty recommendation on the CPT form from our website. You must be a junior or a sophomore, so between your sophomore and junior, or junior and senior year. And one more requirement that I want to point out, because it's important. It doesn't come up very often, but when it does, it can be really upsetting for students, is that you must have been on your F1 status for at least a year. So if you were abroad on an approved Smith program, then you were considered to be here. That's okay. But if you took a leave, a family leave, or any sort of leave that required us to issue you a new initial I-20 in the year preceding the CPT, you will not be able to do CPT. And here's the really bad news. You won't be able to do OPT either. Both programs have that requirement. You must have been in F1 status for one academic year before the CPT or OPT. It's not something that comes up very often. It's typically something that only happens because of medical leaves or family leaves. But it can happen, and you should be aware that that is an automatic, we can't do this. We won't even process the application if that is the case. So just be aware of that requirement. Offer letter, faculty recommendation, bring them to our office. You should make an appointment. It doesn't need to be a very long appointment. We will issue you a new I-20. The other question that is often brought to us is, can I do this while I'm abroad? If you can get the job and get a faculty member to sign the forms for you and get those to us, yes, we will issue it to you while you're abroad. As long as you're on a Smith program. Again, you have to be in valid F1 status. So if you're in JYA Paris, you're still considered a Smith student, you're still being registered as a Smith student, yes, you can do that. Okay? So we look forward to seeing you about your CPT. Have a great day.